You may look at Russia and find yourself asking, how is it legal for a country to be this big? But did you know it used to be bigger? The Russian Empire contained many states today that are separate from Russia, like the Baltics, Ukraine, Belarus, and the Central Asian countries, and parts of other countries too. When the communists took over and created the Soviet Union, they drew the internal borders up based on a number of factors, like ethnicity, and Russia basically got its modern-day borders. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, these borders determined the countries we know and love today. Russia lost a huge amount of its territory, and yet it is still the largest country in the world today, with puny Canada and China in second and third place just wishing they could be like Russia. So how did it get so big? The area which we today call Western Russia was inhabited by Slavic people but was conquered by the Rus, a people from Sweden whose name means the men who row. They sailed through the sea and expanded from around Novgorod all the way down to Kiev and created many countries. During this time, many nomads coming from Central Asia waged war across the steppes all the way down to the Balkans. The warfare pushed many Slavic people into the areas of the Rus, helping to combine the Rus and Slavic populations and create the Slavic Russian people, while centralizing power, economics, and culture around the area which now contains Moscow. Just before 1000 AD, scholars from the Muslim and Christian worlds came to convert the pagan Russians and displayed their cases. You see, Vova, if you become a Muslim, you can have many wives, but as a trade-off, no alcohol. Vladimir, my friend, if you become a Christian, yes, you can only have one wife, but we will trade with you and give you alcohol. We literally drink wine as part of communion. Vladimir decided that alcohol was better than sex, and for this reason the Russians gave him the title, the Great. The Russians became a Christian people of Europe. They weren't always united politically, however, and the fragmentation made them an easy target for the Mongols, and they were completely conquered in the 13th century, with many cities of power being heavily damaged. A young prince named Daniel ruled a relatively unimportant area called Moscow. It was a poor wooden fortress sitting on a river, but it had been growing recently. Daniel began building this area up, constructing many churches. As the great cities of Russian Christianity had been destroyed by the Mongols, the heads of the church looked for an area to relocate to and settled on Moscow. This helped the city become quite powerful and authoritative with the church's backing. When the Mongols began declining, Moscow became one of the most powerful Russian states and former lands were easily absorbed. One of Daniel's descendants, Ivan III, successfully ejected the Mongols and began the process of unifying all the Russian states. By the time we reach about 1500 AD, Ivan looked at this map and said, yep, that's Russia, and called himself the sovereign of all Russia. With this, the Russian people were united. But wait, this isn't Russia, what about all this crap? Over 150 years, Russia spread over the vast and sparsely populated east, adding territory at a rate of about 35,000 square kilometers per year. That's about 3 Connecticuts or 48 Singapores. At this rate of 48 Singapores per year, the Russians began constructing fortresses and towns, defeating the nomadic people of Siberia and claiming the land. By 1700, Russia stretched to the Pacific Ocean. Rule was solidified through population growth. Russia had a lot of these disgusting beings called poor people, and sponsored them to colonize the vast land, through free land, payments, and later on by sending criminals. Russia was even able to expand into Alaska from here. Russia also began expanding westward. It became very successful at picking fights with declining countries. The Great Northern War saw Russia take a huge amount of land from Sweden in the Gulf of Finland, where the city of St. Petersburg was built. Russia attacked the weak Ottoman Empire and was able to conquer areas on the Black Sea from them, settling it with Ukrainians and later on took the Caucasus. Russia teamed up with Austria and the German predecessor state of Prussia to completely destroy Poland. In the 19th century, Britain started kicking China's ass, so France started kicking China's ass, so Germany started kicking China's ass, so Japan started kicking China's ass. Russia was there too. They said, give me some stuff or I'm going to kick your ass, and then they got this bit for free. World War II saw them take Sakhalin and the Kuril Islands from Japan. So there we have it. Russia. But hang on, wasn't that kind of easy? Well, sorta. Before the year 1800, the most difficult part of Russian expansionism came from the consolidation period and later from the Mongols. The centralization of the population from the early nomadic raiders and the favorable geography made northern Russia hard to invade. The south suffered under Mongol occupation while the north got off a bit lighter. By the time the Mongols left during the coming of the Renaissance, Russia was a European country at a time when the European countries were pulling ahead technologically from the rest of the world. This meant they were able to conquer the vastness of the relatively useless Siberia in a way they wouldn't have been able to during the medieval period. They used trade and colonization to establish permanent rule. They rarely picked fights with Europe and were rarely invaded. When they did fight, they did so with many allies or against weak powers. Thus, they expanded rapidly. That isn't to say that these wars were easy or simple, because war never is, but Russia tended to end up the victor. Nevertheless, by the time of the 20th century, Germany feared Russia would eventually become unstoppable, which was one of the reasons why they were so aggressive in the lead up to World War I. So there we have it. Russia, the biggest and one of the most powerful countries in the world, mainly because no one else bothered to settle this bit. But Russia does continue to grow even today. Russia has this bit called the Kaliningrad Oblast because when East Prussia was taken from Germany at the end of World War II, half went to Poland and the rest to the Soviet Union, of which Russia was the biggest internal country, and so it was added to Russia. In 2014, Russia took Crimea from Ukraine, and in 2022 began a full-scale invasion to add the territories of Donetsk and Luhansk, making Russia even bigger. So, Russia is big, and it may get even bigger. What have we learned? If you want to make a big country, pick a place no one lives in for an easier time. Okay, that's the video. Thanks for watching. Go watch my other cartoons and subscribe. Thanks. See you. Bye.